I'm Tevlev, and this is Tin Gaming, and I have another stage builder tutorial. This one's about the stage weight capacity and sort of how to get around it and how to make more efficient shapes so you can fit even more into a stage. And as an example, I have these two smug-looking dittos. This one is on the left, this is the inefficient one. This, on the right, that's the efficient one. So this one uses less of the meter. You can see it's already filled up a lot, and I only have these two things, and it's really just because of this guy. Now, what increases the weight? The amount of objects you have and the amount of angles you have in an object. And it's more important to have less objects than less angles. The amount of objects you have raise the meter a lot more, I'm saying. And if we look closely at this inefficient one, you can see I drew this in handheld mode. So just by like dragging my finger, I drew this, and that leaves a lot of angles. Like right up here, you can see like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a lot. You know, same reason like a circle uses a ton of the weight as well. Instead of just being able, like if you wanted to make your own circle that's more efficient, you could just do it like this, you know. Well, I don't know. It takes some practice. It's like you go up 1 and 2, and then you repeat. Once you make like 5, you can just do it just easily, because that takes up way less compared to this. It might be the same size, but less angles, and that's another thing. How big an object is, you might think that would make it increase, but it's actually like a lot of people thought, like when Stage Builder first came out, they're like, oh, here's a trick. You can if you make an object big like this and shrink it down, you see that this doesn't make the meter go up. But it was never like that. If you made the object small to begin with, like that, it would take up. It's at the same point, you know. Okay, now let's look at the dittos. We'll look at what not to do and what to do. This one, as I said before, this one is way too many angles, more than you need. Like this one, it's basically the same shape, and you're probably not going to have it be that big anyway. And then you have a piece for the eyebrows and the eyes, and you don't need all that stuff, you know. And look, now look, we made this face. I mean, that's simple, like that's it. There you go. And then you look over at this one. Simpler angles here. And then also, and you kind of need to compensate for, like, if you put an object inside another one like this, it'll kind of shrink the edges, so you kind of have to make it a little bit bigger. You know what I mean? And there's ways around that, but we might talk about that later. Or you can join the Discord for tips and tricks that go into that. So if you draw, like, this is one shape. And really, you can just go over here. The easiest way to make complicated shapes like that is to just make it out of multiple and then just trace it, you know. And maybe if you're a stage builder expert, you're thinking that this could actually be more efficient. And you're right, because like I said before, you want to use the least amount of objects you can. So this is 3 for the face, but you can actually use it for with 2. And you make a shape like this. You kind of connect the edges and move the pink thing in. You probably don't need this, but if you want to make it small, like if you want to shrink it like that, you would need this, so it lets it shrink. That's just how it is. So you put that there. And you get this the body, and then it's roughly the same face. If you take a little bit more time, you can get it even, but that's just because I was rushing it, and it's an example. And now let's look at exactly how it compares. So there you go. There's a lot of ditto faces in this video. Okay, so it's this. We're gonna see. This is how much just this takes up. This much. And then this is how much this guy takes up. That's basically the basics. And now we'll look at some of the stages I made before, and we'll see specific examples. Okay, now this isn't my most popular stage, but it does have some good examples of preserving the stage weight. And like that guy in the back, Impact, I think that's his name. This is from Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. And the thing is, here's sort of a thing that's related to the stage weight, but if there's a bunch of objects moving at once, especially if it's an object like this, let's say this is one part. This is one part with a bunch of objects on it. It might affect the frame rate of the game, which is a huge bummer, but it happens. You can see this a lot when the background raises up in certain stages. It literally slows down the game. And this is going to be moving all the time. So that would not be acceptable to have that sort of frame rate drops all the time. And sometimes it even increases the speed of the game, which is bizarre to me. That's like a glitch that happens. Okay, but what I really want to point out is Impact himself. You know, you don't need to make his whole body, because that would take up way too much. And then this too. It's just little stuff like this that goes a long way with preserving the stage weight, because this looks like two trees, and like once I started out making stages, it just seems natural to like, yeah, there's going to be two trees in the background, two trees in the front, so that's 1 2 3 4. But really you can just make it like this, and even still it doesn't need to be this. I could do this simpler. Anyway, this guy's face, you can see like how many objects are a part of this guy, because you would think it would kill the frame rate by a lot, because it looks like this is 1 2 3 4 5 6. Let's get rid of the hair. Yeah, this is all. Oh yeah, I actually did this all in one piece. This shape still haunts my nightmares, not because it's scary, but because I had to literally figure it out. It was the most annoying thing. And then there's just this that covers the parts, like where it connects. So I guess this would go down a little bit, just like roughly there, and then the rest of the wood would cover up those parts, like that. Oh right, the nose, that's what it is. It makes the nostrils. And then these are separate. I couldn't figure out a way to try to actually connect them. Or maybe I tried to put it like under here, because the newer object you place will cover up the older ones. So that means if I took an object like this, it'll cover up everything. And there's no way to get this to be under it unless I redrew like these eyeballs or whatever. Which it'd be cool if you could just affect that. Little Big Planet 3 has a thing like that. Very useful, but not a thing here. Yeah, really, like how many pieces does this guy actually use? Let's see. So yeah, I figured this was worth mentioning just for this guy. Like, just this shape. You don't have to get this complicated. I've made so many stages. This is not what you'd expect stage builder to be. It's just so complicated. And then you get a face like this terrible, awful looking face. And you know what's a shame is I actually made it much more detailed before, but then I had to redo it because the frame rate, which is a shame. Here's another stage that I made based on Bloodborne, the Hunter's Dream. Also not one of my most popular stages. Maybe there's just not a lot of Bloodborne fans that play Switch, I don't know. This one is also, you're gonna guess, this is all one part. And over here too. Because it looks like 8 different pieces. I also could have made this, but this is a little bit more complicated. I kind of had to shrink down the parts a little bit. You know, I had to make it bigger to get more angles and then shrink it. That's another thing that you could do. Like this, for example. This guy, or these little guys, what are they called? The messengers in Bloodborne. So if we take a look at these guys, you can see how I made them. And again, they look like they take up 3 pieces, but they only take up 1. You can see where they connect here. And to do that, I actually drew each one individually first, and then traced over them into one part and deleted the 3 older parts. and then I'm able to make them move around like that. And another thing is that the gears and other objects too, like they take up a ton of weight. Like a gear takes up way more than that, but you're still able to put a gear, or like a teleporter, even though they take up a ton. Here, I'll actually show you how much they take up. So that's how much they take up. You see, this is definitely the most expensive object in the game, because it comes with 2, I guess. So it takes up that much, even though we saw that it only had this much on it, you're still able to put it. So basically, if you're using teleporters, put them last. Same with gears. If you have just like a tiny sliver, because gears don't take up that much compared to this, but yeah. Also, here's an example of the stage slowing down. It slows down a ton here, and it needs to build itself, because that's just, if you could just put stuff high up, because you can't build past here, even though you're able to see past here. Here's the camera. I wish you could just, because then the tree could just be up here. But no, you can't do that. Whatever, it's fine. This tree probably takes up a ton too, but it needs to be that detailed. It takes up a lot. And that's why it lags so much. Now, how this could be improved, you can kind of see these aren't connected down here, but just like the messenger people here, I needed to make these, I basically needed to make them take up the whole screen in order to do that. And then there's not enough room over here. So I had to make them 2 different pieces, and there's no way I could make it even, because those are way smaller than how the grid works. And that's all one part. I mean, at this point, it probably makes a lot of sense. Here's the last stage I want to talk about today, because hopefully I made it clear exactly how this works, as long as you just combine as many objects as you can together, and you can trace over them too, and then delete the old ones. I also want to talk about the reason why the stage capacity is even there, because a lot of people said, like, I mean, this was earlier on, because I know I should have made this video like a year ago, but I don't know, those would be so outdated by now. Because a lot of people used to say, and even still say, I hope there's an update where they just get rid of the stage limit, because it's no fun. And it's there for a reason. The game can only handle so much, right? There's already weird glitches that could make your Switch overheat. Like, I don't know. I don't think having a bunch of squares would overheat your Switch, but it's there for a reason, and whatever. You can make it work, and here we are trying to make it work. And with this stage, luckily all the detail you can put right into the boat, because there's nothing in the background. It's supposed to be open ocean. I mean, usually looking at the background is not really ideal, because they're all kind of blank looking and they're just 2D pictures. I don't know, it's everything's a trade-off when you're making stuff in Stage Builder and a lot of creative outputs. But you know what, I think we should compare my old stage to this new one, because it's weird, because the old stage of this, the GangPlank Galleon, it also had the stage limit full, and then here it is with twice as much detail, and it's still full. So I think it just shows how far you can go to update stages, and how well you can master the limit, you know. And I know it's just like it's a side mode in a game. All right, now let's take a look at this. Let's just get this front part here. This is like 2 or 3 pieces. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, and the reason it needs to be 3 is because it has the holes in it. You know, you can't finish like a shape like that without filling it in. You know, there's probably a way to make that work. You can always be more efficient with it, and it's honestly a lot of fun, because Stage Builder, it's like a puzzle game in a way, because you need to make it, there's a solution to it, and eventually you'll find it, and I think that's very neat, and that's part of the reason why it's so fun. These are in the foreground. It's supposed to give like the illusion of like the cannons, you know. I think that works. And this, I believe it's, yeah, okay, it's 1 piece. See, that's, originally it was 3, because it was one of the first stages I made. So there you go. Cover it up with the dirt. Okay, I think what we really need to look at is the back. Yeah, the background. Hopefully that's 1? Okay, yeah, it is 1. Okay. Now let's just look at this. You got the barrels, you got the mass, is that what they're called? And the thing, and the rudder, and the front rudder. And then these are all also connected. It's just like you wouldn't think. And then these also, oh, these could be connected too. I could have connected these, but not this, because I'll show you, it kind of would ruin the illusion. It wouldn't look like a separate thing. You could connect it, but then something would not have to be touching, because you can't make it touch both these because there's an opening here. I don't know, whatever. That was a sacrifice that needed to be made, I guess. And I will show you how to make a circle too. A circle and rings from Sonic. I'm going to show you really how to make rings, because that's a big dispute, a civil war in the Discord. That's the famous line, right? Like, for example, in the older stage, I had this as like, I'm pretty sure I drew it like this. I used the platforms. I did like this and this. You know what I mean? Pretty sure I did it like that. It looked a little bit better, but still, that's 1 piece versus 3. Really, I think you get it. Here's 2 eggs, but they're connected. This is 1 piece too. That's 1. This is 2, like these ropes or whatever these are. These should be connected, but like in the Bloodborne stage, I needed to make them like zoomed out. They took up like the whole thing, the whole screen. I had to make them like, just like I showed you with before. I had to make them like that big and then shrink them down to make them thinner. But remember, making them big at first, like I talked about at the very beginning with the 2 rectangles, it's just the number of angles and number of objects. That's not including like these either, because these all take up a ton. Especially the teleporters and the bomb blocks. They take up a lot. And don't forget to join the Discord. Really, it's not just about Smash Brothers, and it's not just about custom stages. We have a bunch of things we do. You know, we play Animal Crossing and Minecraft even, have our own Minecraft realm. And it's just great. It's a fun place to hang out, so I highly recommend joining. And with that, again, thanks for watching. Bye.